our former North Dakota governor and U.S. Ag Secretary, and most importantly, Fighting Sioux alum, Ed Schaefer.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Scott. It's great to be back on campus. I was thinking back, I spent a lot of time in the Union, more than class, I think, but I do appreciate back, and thanks for coming. I don't know about you, I came for the pizza, but we're, yeah, Lance is here for the pizza. Well, thank you. But we're here to generate a discussion about the future of North Dakota. What we want to talk about a little bit is the relationship between revenues, taxes, and expenditures in the state. And we're enjoying a really great time in North Dakota today, and I'd like to, as Scott said, we want to generate a public discussion. We're interested in what you have to say, what investments we should be looking at for the future of North Dakota, and as we thanks, Scott. As we are generating now in the legislative session, and our legislators who are responsible for building public policy for the state of North Dakota and for the future of North Dakota, we thought it would be a good time to have some discussions. We're traveling around the state in the Invest in North Dakota Express bus, and we're talking to people, we're having town hall meetings, we're visiting about the future of North Dakota, and we're not here to champion any particular piece of legislation or the way we should do this or when we should do this, but we want to talk to the people of North Dakota so that we can kind of get a grasp as to what's going on in our state and where we need to go in the future. Just a quick history piece of this, a quick path down history lane to get a sense of where we are, and that is North Dakota has gone through two boom and bust cycles with energy development in our state. In the 1950s, we discovered oil in North Dakota. We had a lot of revenues coming in. We tied government programs, government payments, government services to that oil extraction or that oil production that was coming into North Dakota. As always happens with the cyclical piece of the economy, oil prices went down, production left the state of North Dakota, and our government got caught without having enough money to pay for the education and health and safety programs that were put in by the legislature. We didn't even have enough money to pay our bills. And what happened, of course, is in trying to balance those budgets, we had to cut programs and we had to raise taxes. It's a very difficult time, and it affected North Dakota dramatically for many, many years. Now, fast forward to the late 1970s and early 1980s, we did the same thing. We had big oil production, oil prices went up, a lot of discovery in North Dakota, and revenues started coming into the state, and we tied especially education funding to those oil revenues. And as always happens, when prices go up, they started to go down, production values left North Dakota, and in the early 1980s, we didn't have enough money to pay our bills. And at that point in time, we were allocating costs, we didn't have enough revenue, we cut over $100 million in education, and we raised taxes at the same time, and it was a out of sync. Government just kind of wasn't operating properly, and many, many people, 50,000 people left our state in the 1980s. And think of the huge impact that has in education and classroom sizes and being able to deliver and taxes paid, revenues for the state. So we were on that boom bust cycle. Now we're on the boom cycle again. We've got great oil coming out of the ground. We've got super revenues, and we've doubled the size of our government in the last 10 years. And doubling the size of our government, we've been able to do that within our means. We've been able to keep ahead. We've had the revenues coming, and it's been an exciting time for North Dakota. We've seen huge investments in education and in health and in safety programs around our state. We've seen huge investments in expanding our economy, and it's been really fun to see. And what my concern is, and what I'd like to generate this discussion is today, is are we becoming dependent on oil revenues again? And I believe we are. I think we have 30% of our government, 31% of our government today is dependent on money coming in from production coming out of the ground. after this budget of the legislature, if the governor's budget, proposed budget is passed, will be around 35% of our program delivery in North Dakota. The money we spend on our education, our services, 35% of that's going to be dependent on oil coming out of the ground. So doesn't it make sense that we need to do everything that we can to make sure that we keep production values in North Dakota? That's kind of the pathway that we've been on. How do we keep production going in North Dakota? And we know that if we don't keep drilling wells in our state, we can't keep up with the revenue. 85% of a well, the value of a well drops off in the first 3 years. So 1,000 barrel a day well 1 year is half of that the next and a third of that the next. So you have to watch how those revenues go. So if you have a declining production curve, you have to make sure you're keeping those new wells coming to make sure we have the revenues coming into North Dakota to pay for the government that we all want and all desire in our programs. When I started looking at this last spring, and when I started saying, okay, what's going to keep our production values up in North Dakota? We said our costs are high in North Dakota. Our oil is deep, and we have high what they call lifting costs, getting the oil out of the ground. It's not comparable to other states. But while we have high production values, good oil coming out of the ground, great economy, and good global prices, the companies have been able to afford to invest in North Dakota on a long-term basis and say, we're going to drill and we're going to pull the oil. We also, so we have to be aware of those high lifting costs and how that works with other states. The second piece I'd like you to consider is we have transportation cost issue. We're pretty far away from the refineries. We don't have a well-developed transportation system for our oil, and so we get $10 a barrel or $11 a barrel discount on our oil because you have to ship it off to other places. So we have high lifting costs, we have transportation expense, and then we have the tax structure. And we're traveling around talking about fixthetax.com, and fixthetax.com points out that if we're going to keep our production values in the state of North Dakota long term, we need to be competitive with other states. We need to be competitive so when oil companies deciding where to drill a hole, not today, but tomorrow, that they're drilling it in North Dakota and not in Colorado or Texas or Wyoming because we need it here. We're dependent on those revenues coming in. So that's kind of the basis of our discussion. We're advocating lowering the oil and gas extraction tax so that we be competitive with other states. We've had rousing discussions across the state. We've had terrific discussions about people saying, well, you really should raise the tax, not lower it, because the big bad oil companies have all the money, and we should get it all out of their hides as much as we can. We've had people that said everything is good in North Dakota now. We've got increased revenues. We've got 170 rigs drilling in our state. All the activity is here. It's the hottest play in the North American continent today. Why would we change it? We also have folks that say, gee, what do we need to do to make sure we keep it coming in the future? So I'm interested in what you have to say, what your thoughts are. We're generating this discussion so that you talk to your legislators, talk to your opinion leaders, talk to the policymakers about what is going to provide opportunity in North Dakota, where are the jobs going to be, the careers in our state, where do we invest today so that we have a better and brighter future for tomorrow. And where better to discuss that is right here on the UND campus in the Student Union or Memorial Union. So let's open the mic, and Scott's got a mic over here so everybody can hear the